was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and we are dead into the summer. We are melting away with the heat in Arizona. And then I met my good friend who is going to be a guest on today's show. And come to find out, him and I were raised kind of around the same area back in New Jersey. And we just went on talking about New Jersey for a long time and our roots and where we come from. And you got to be from Jersey to really understand it, to talk about it that way. But we connected right away, and I love what he's doing. He's out there really focusing on building successful teams. And I was like, Mark, man, that would be a great topic for this podcast today, because the team is not only about the success of the company, but it's about the success of every individual on the team. And that really goes along with my heart when I do workshops on servant leadership. So I just thought this would be a great marriage in bringing Mark on today. But before we get to Mark, and introduce him and all of his glory, I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. We are passionate about bringing the authentic flavors of Italy right to your event. Our mobile pizzeria is a culinary adventure on wheels where we craft artisanal pizzas using the finest ingredients and traditional Neapolitan techniques. Whether you're craving a classic margarita or looking to explore one of our unique flavor combinations, our skilled pizziolas are here to create mouthwatering pizzas that will tantalize your taste buds. With our commitment to quality and exceptional service, we aim to provide an unforgettable dining experience for every one of our guests. Explore our menu and book us for your next private event or wedding, and follow us on Instagram at Beyond Basil Pizza. Get ready to embark on a pizza journey like no other with Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. You can view the menu and contact them at beyondbasilmobilepizzeria.com. Thank you for Beyond Basil and being our sponsor of today's show. So let's get to Mike Iorio. Did I say that right? I'm right. trying to do my best here. So Mark is a powerhouse connector of people. He absolutely is. He's a go-giver, a team building expert. He can dissect and uncover issues before they sabotage an organization. Could you imagine, Mark, if every organization could dissect and uncover issues before it becomes a problem?
Oh, Colleen, it's so important to do that. And thank you so much for having me on this program. I am so excited. It's quite an honor to be with you. But yeah, we do a lot of that. It's amazing how many times you find out that people are not really brand ambassadors of the organization. In fact, a lot of times people are sabotaging the company because they're saying bad things about the organization. They're not engaged in the things that they're doing day by day. And it really erodes the brand image of the organization or the overall reputation of the organization. So yeah, we do a lot of that work. It's very gratifying stuff.
Yeah. Are you finding that it's increasing the number of individuals with the changes of the environment and the blueprint of corporate America? Do you feel like that has changed over the past 3-4 years since the pandemic? Are you working with more virtual teams? I know there's a lot of teams back in the office, but are you finding that the individuals aren't happy in their positions and they're just there to get a paycheck? So, and they're not voicing that to maybe a direct report. And so, like you said, they're not brand ambassadors for the actual brand of the company.
Yeah. So a lot of times what we find, that Gallup survey that comes out periodically on the state of the American worker and the engagement that occurs within the organization, it is worse actually during the pandemic, Colleen, because when you have brand ambassadors who are inside the organization and they're part of the organization, there's meetings on a regular basis. It's a lot easier to get people to become brand ambassadors when they're virtual, when they're working virtually, much more difficult. That's why with our program, where you end up with a purpose, no matter where you are in the world, that is who you are as an organization. And we call it a North Star, but it could be a role model, it could be a role target, it could be your purpose. So anything that you do inside your organization, whether you're on the computer or you're physically inside the organization, that's your culture. That's who you are. And that level of engagement is really so important to have everyone sort of rowing in the same or rowing in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm glad you said that, because think of if you have 10 individuals on a team and they're on a rowing team, but like they're essentially working together in an office, right? Or virtually, and only 2 of those people are rowing. It's a great analogy to think about how much pressure and effort is being put in from those 2 individuals when the rest of them aren't rowing, and how that can slow down productivity and even sabotage an organization. Because if that happens consistently, they're not hitting their profitable measures, where the company needs to be profitable.
Yeah, it's not just, you're right. You're 100% right with the profitability issue. It is a struggle sometimes with people getting together and working together as a unit. And when you said that they're not rowing at all, sometimes people are rowing the opposite way. And that metaphor, can you imagine being in a rowboat where 2 people are rowing one way and then everyone else is rowing in the opposite direction? So very, very difficult, to make sure everyone understands that. Mm-hmm. And when we finally get everyone to say, yes, that's who we are as an organization, this is where we're going, this is our purpose, this is our direction, it's much easier to get everyone to not just row in the same direction, but to row in the right direction.
How does that conversation occur? So talk to me a little bit through what your company's mission is, and then how you work with an individual company on their mission. Like, where does it start? Top down?
Sometimes okay. It starts top down. Sometimes it's a brand ambassador inside the organization. It's someone inside the organization that says, boy, we're really all not on the same page. We're not singing from the same sheet of music. We're not rowing in the same direction. And when I ask that question, is everyone in this organization rowing in the same direction? Oftentimes, there's that look of bewilderment on their face, like no, or they'll use an expletive and say no. So that's where we start. We start with the leadership team, let's say, or a cross section of people inside the organization that we understand have an impact on the entire organization, or the organization in its entirety. And then so then the process starts, and I can explain that to you if you'd like.
Yeah, I absolutely think you should tell me about the process. So tell us first of all, share your company name, and then the process that you would put a company through, and what type of company would you work with? Is this like 5 employees to 500 employees? Is there specific criteria for the company? We'd love to hear all about it.
So we the ideal target, now this is not everyone, but the ideal target is about 5 to 50 people, right? Okay. So we've worked with companies that are way bigger than that, and very few that are very small, much smaller than that. But the name of the company is BCAT Partners, BCAT Partners. That's the umbrella organization. And under that, we have something called ProFit for Teams, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'll explain both. The ProFit process, ProFit for Teams process, is a survey instrument. So is BCAT, where we brand and culture alignment toolkit is what that stands for. We're probably going to change it to brand and culture alignment technology, because it's a much more extensive, much broader program. The survey instrument is a group of words. And what happens, the trigger, Colleen, is I want you all in this organization or on this team to imagine everyone as though it were a single person doing its best work on its best day to deliver all of its promises and achieve all of its goals. What does that look like? What does that role model or avatar look like? And as you go through our survey instrument, it's all online. You do it in the privacy of your own office or your home. It's a 15-minute survey. It's got anywhere from 60 to 80 questions in it, and they're word associations. And what happens is, as you think of certain words, we've designed it in quadrants, very much like the work that Carl Jung did back in the 1930s, where he looked at personality archetypes.
Yeah.
We look at team archetypes. And the 4 team archetypes are, you're either an innovative team or not either, but you're a mixture of innovation, precision or expert, driver, or caretaker. So you imagine a caretaker team would be, let's say, the nursing unit at a children's hospital.
Yeah.
A creative team or an innovative team might be a Six Flags or an NBC Universal, somebody like that. So you take these attributes when you start to think about these, the attributes of your team, and start to select the words that best describe the team when it's doing its best work on its best day. Now, not everyone's going to answer the question the same way, right? They're going to have different answers, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We then compile all the data, get into a room and say, this is where Colleen landed. This is where Mark landed. This is where John landed, et cetera. Where do we really believe we should go as an organization? And we have the quadrant up, and we move the needle. We move the bar up on the display. And what ends up happening is, once we develop that consensus, this is who we are when we're doing our best work on our best day. What falls out of that are, we call them aligned inspirations. You can call them commandments or codes of conduct, but this is how we behave as an organization in alignment with where we landed, that chemistry of where we landed on our quadrant.
Yeah.
As we build that out, Colleen, we understand how we're supposed to behave as a team. And then we go around to each individual and we say, what are the 2 or 3 things that you believe you can contribute to each day that help migrate this culture toward this promise that we make to the world, right? And those habits are very much like a diet. They're very much like an exercise routine. They're very much like the things that we do every day, like brushing our teeth, getting up out of bed. So they're the habits that we form collectively so that we work more in a more collaborative way. We're more productive. We end the backbiting and the passive aggressive behavior and the silo mentality. So that's how the whole process works. The Pro Fit for Teams is a workshop that we do for a half day. BCAT is a much more extensive program that carries on for, depends on the client, but anywhere from 6 months to maybe 2 years.
That makes sense. So you really get the driver, and it's not that you're asking them to get into a different seat on the bus. You're getting clarity to where the company wants to go as a whole. And then whether you're the driver or the caretaker, now you know what your responsibilities are. So you're not asking the caretaker to become the driver or the driver to become the caretaker. That's like impossible for them to do, right?
Yeah. That's the stress level. You're right. That's exactly right. So if the organization lands in driver, let's say we have to get things done every day, and I feel, we've got deadlines and we have metrics to follow and so on and so forth. If you show up as, let's say you go to the DISC model, right? And you're a much more laid back, serene, low key kind of a personality, that will be a stretch for you. Working for an organization that's a driver organization, you may be able to do it. you may be able to go in and say, I can do these little incremental changes every day that are not going to affect my personality. But there's times where people say, you know what, I can't do this. It's just not my style. It's not who I am. And I'm going to, politely move on.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, because I think that also gives clarity to that person to help them figure out why they were struggling in the first place.
Exactly.
Because it is that type of organization, and maybe they weren't hired for a specific job, but the responsibilities that they have, and now the clarity of where the company really needs everyone to be rowing in the right direction, they figure out that's not going to work for me. And I think it's best for the organization and the individual, because that individual needs to be in a position, because we have to focus on, each individual as an organization as a whole. If your employees aren't happy, if your employees aren't feeling fulfilled in their daily work, if it's not lighting them up, if it's not, what they enjoy doing, that's causing issues for the organization. And they need to move on. And they need to be somewhere else that might fit them better for their type of personality and how they work, what their working, frustrations are, working geniuses are.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So a lot of times, and that case I just painted is an extreme case, because not every organization is there. No one organization is one thing. They're a combination of things. So they could be driver first and maybe, innovator second, or creative second. And so, there are things that person that I described can do to operate inside that organization. But the cool thing about this is that when you work together in a more collaborative way, you become more productive. Productive employees are happy employees. It's not the other way around. People don't show up at work and they're happy. And if they're not productive, if they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs, they become unhappy.
Yeah.
If you're productive at work, people care about you. They respect you. You're part of decision-making programs and so on. You become fulfilled, as you mentioned a few seconds ago. And that makes people really happy and gratifying. Filled with gratitude, I should say.
I totally agree with that. Now, do you work with companies all over the world, strictly in the United States, mainly on the East Coast?
We have worked with companies in India. We've worked with companies in Australia, New Zealand, UK. Recently, we're more stateside. Just kind of the way it's been working, but we have collaborations all over the world. We've got one in Israel right now. So it doesn't matter. I think it's kind of an odd thing that, it seems like, look, we love this country. This is the greatest country in the world. But, when you look at the advances in the UK, for example, they get this. They seem to understand this a little bit. They're further along in this concept than we are here in the US. A lot of times in the US, they think, oh, culture. I mean, that's a little foofy, thing. And it's not. It really drives so many of the metrics that the folks that are looking at, KPIs and OKRs are looking for, right? Yeah.
Oh, I agree. And I would say even buyers, of products are looking at culture of companies, and what they stand for. And that's the perfect lead in that I was going to ask you was, what is a pain point that a company is struggling with that they know they need to hire you? What are their pain points that they're having that they recognize, like, we really need to get some assistance because they don't know what to do? Or they would have already done it, right?
There's a whole lot of bickering going on inside the organization. They feel as though, one department never talks to the other department, that there's a fair amount of passive aggressive behavior inside the organization. A lot of times, and these are fun. This is the fun part about what we do. We'll get approached by companies that are getting ready to sell 2 or 3 years out. They're going to exit their business, right? So, in preparation for the exit, when you said buyers are big. That's a big B.
Yep.
Right. So it's not just a consumer of your product or your service, but it's the potential buyer of your company. And so oftentimes the culture inside the organization weighs heavily on that sale or that potential merger.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to ESOP the company, employee stock option program or plan, you've got to get your culture really in sync. So there's a whole litany of things that happen prior to people calling us in. And, we really don't, I shouldn't say we really don't care what their issues are. We can fix them. We can help fix them.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'm thinking of it. If you get ready to sell your house and then you do all this fixing up, and then you should have done that to begin with, because now you're like, why didn't we fix this house up? Because it looks beautiful. And now I don't want to sell it. Sure. Probably the same thing happens in business. They have you come in and then, the culture is amazing and everyone's getting along and knows what they need to be doing. And people are happy and fulfilled and loyal and trustworthy, and then they're like, "Wait, why do we want to sell this business again?"
Right,
but
exactly. I love this place.
I know, I love this place. Why would I sell it? But the value increases just like it would, in your home.
Definitely.
And so, if you can do that when you're thinking of selling, then I'm going to highly encourage businesses today to put the investment into the culture and into the people, especially here in the United States. It is important. It's very important. And that is, to me, the culture is the entire organization of, people.
It's everything you do. Exactly.
Everything.
It's
what you stand for. It's how you sell your products or services. It's why people want to come and work for you. It's everything.
It is everything.
So I love that you're out there building beautifully successful teams for businesses that they're not sure what to do. They're at a loss. That wasn't their expertise. Their expertise was maybe their passion about a specific service or product, and they have no idea. Steve Jobs is a great example of that, how to manage people, or, he just wasn't that kind of guy.
No, it wasn't.
His brain was building computers and devices and how they work. It was nothing to do with departments or people or teams or.
Apple's actually a pretty interesting, that's a pretty interesting illustration, Colleen, because people didn't really follow Steve Jobs. They didn't follow him. He wasn't a great guy, but they followed what he followed, right? So that purpose for Apple to make an elegant, user-friendly, beautifully designed product, right? Yep. Device or whatever is really what drives that organization. And that's what we try to get people to understand. Every single organization, every culture is different. It's like your thumbprint. It's not, you can't become Apple, you can't become Google, you can't become Amazon. You can become your own company.
Right.
And that's really what we strive for and what drives us.
I love that. And then you've got to tell us, Mark, what drives you in your personal life hanging out there in New Jersey? What are you up to today? We'd love to hear.
Oh, Colleen, I love my family. That's what drives me. Helping others and my family and providing for my family. I've got two of my own children. They're 31, a jockey. She's a jockey.
It's crazy.
And my son is a drummer. He's in Nashville. And then I have two stepchildren. One's in Texas, and the other is local in New Jersey in Cherry Hill. And my wife, Patty's an amazing person. She's energetic. And so I love my family. My dad's still around. He's 87 years old. I have a brother and two sisters, and they have children of their own. So I love our family. But I love helping other people who are less fortunate than we are. And I try to do that every day and show that the things that I do and the nonprofits that I work for and work in. So that's what drives me. I'm a faithful guy as well, faith-filled person.
Yeah.
I try to listen to prayer every day and try to be a better person every single day. So that's what drives me.
I love that. And I know you're at a charity event today, right? Out golfing and
I am.
yeah,
I'm Capital Health Foundation. It's a
that's right.
hospital system in New Jersey. It's in they're headquartered in Hopewell, New Jersey, and today is a one of their big events for the foundation. I'm not sure how much they raised, but I know it's over $100,000 for their cancer center. It's in memory of one of the doctors that passed away a number of years ago, Abe George. So I'm here playing with my brother-in-law, his friend, and my brother, which is terrific. So,
oh my gosh, so fun. So doing something for charity as well as, playing with your family. That's wonderful. And thank you for taking the time to pause, to jump off the green and come back and then, run down the golf cart when you're done here to jump back on the next hole and play with them. And you're just such a great example, Mark, of someone who can serve and connect with others and still be very successful in his own life. And I just love everything that you do. I love your faith. I love that you are so dedicated to your family and the companies and the teams that you work with. I mean, it takes someone with your level of dedication to be able to be successful in that area. And I didn't even mention that you have some TV shows that I was like, you what, Mark? What do you mean you have TV shows? What's that all about? Share the names of those real quick and where we can find those, because I'd like to drive our listeners there.
Thanks, Colleen. This has been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you for saying what you said about the work that I do and everything. It means a lot. So it's at RVN Television. It's a streaming network. It's located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. The television station has about 75 different programs. I host 4 of them. Morning Coffee, which is on Wednesday mornings from 8 until 9. Rainmakers Roundup, I've been doing that for 6 years. I think you're scheduled to be on that.
I am. Yeah.
Pretty
Very
soon.
exciting.
I do something called The Advocates, which is a program on people helping people. So these are folks that are in the world of nonprofit or elsewhere that are helping others, right? That are maybe less fortunate than they are, or struggling with addiction or something like that. And I have a 4th show called, I don't know if I can say it on the air, but it's a 4-letter word. It starts with an F and it's ups. So F ups. And that's about business leaders who have had let's just say they went off the rails and did something really silly, hiring the wrong people, making the wrong deals, and they've come out of it. And
bad investments. Oh my gosh, I could be a guest on that show too. My husband's like, "You sure you want to make that investment? Remember the last $50,000 investment we made that didn't work out?" It's like, what I always tell him, honey, it's just money. We can make more of it. It's just money. We can make more of it. Don't worry about it, right? That's the way I see it. It's just money. We'll just make more of it. Like, you got to move on. You can sit in a regret forever, but I just think it tethers you to things that you feel that maybe you made a bad decision in, but learn from it and move on and get the knowledge from it and just keep trucking forward, because life's too short. It really is.
It is. I've done plenty of those.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And we've done it more than once. And sometimes you're like, when am I going to learn? So, but it's just been so much fun getting to know you, Mark. So much fun sharing your message. Definitely go to LinkedIn. Oreo Mark. You can see his name here on all of our descriptions. Click on the link, connect with him, and find out more about his TV shows. If you want to be a guest on his TV shows, if you'd love to have him as a guest on your podcast, or if you own a company and you're like, man, we need this guy. He's got to come in and fix this team. So maybe you're a business owner and you think that this would be a good fit for you. My goal is for my listeners to connect with my guests so that you can see where that can take you. So make sure you connect with them there. And I think you also have profit4teams.com as well out there that they can connect with if they want to look at doing that type of a workshop with their team as well. So. Well, you are a go-giver. I will give you that today, Mark.
You, Colleen.
And thank you so much for your your day that you're spending in charity and giving back. I just think that's amazing. It's part of being in business. And I think we all need to be giving back and serving and having some sacrifice there because that's really the other side of success.
Absolutely.
So,
thanks.
Thank
Colleen.
you so much, Mark, for being a guest on our show. And for all of you listening, as you know, every single week, you're the only you that's ever been. You are the only you that will ever be. So if you're not on a successful team, talk about building a successful team. If you own a company and your team needs some help, step in and do it now. I just don't know why people wait until it gets so bad and the teams are sabotaging each other. It matters. People matter. So let's focus on people first. And I know that return for you will be a huge return on the success for your business as well as for the individuals that work for you. So thanks again, Mark, for being with us. Until next time, everyone, be you and be strong. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.